Hey folks, welcome back. This is James Pike. This is Pop-Off with James, and it's episode 2. This episode features Melissa Pfeister of Side Piece Show, and she's going to interview me so you guys get a bit of an introduction to who I am and what it takes to run an account like this. Welcome back. This is part 2 of my podcast. So right now, Melissa's going to flip the switch and she's going to interview me.
So what I want to know, how insanely difficult it is to gain a big social media presence. Look what you have done. It's obviously very specific.
Yeah.
What made you even get into that, wanting to do a below deck account?
It's actually like a super good question. You know, I've always been such like a fangirl, quote unquote. You know, when I was little, I would have like Aaron Carter pictures on my walls. You know, like I was always a super fan of like whatever I was really interested in. You know, I have 3 Lana Del Rey tattoos. I have a Taylor Swift tattoo.
Oh, you're like die hard, man.
Exactly. And so my friends would always really make fun of me because of this, right? So I was working in a restaurant. It was right before the pandemic hit. And I was talking to my friend about Lana Del Rey, and they're like, you know, you should start like a Lana Del Rey fan page. Like, you know everything about her. Like, you talk about her so much. Like, you should have a fan page. And I'm like, no, like, I don't know. I'm not really down with that. And then the pandemic hit. And then I had always seen Below Deck on streaming and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, how could that even be a good show? Because it's about like people working. It's so stupid, right? So I knew about it, didn't watch it, but I gave it a chance. I was laid off, had all this extra time, and I got addicted. I watched every season, and then I just took my advice from the girl about the Lana Del Rey fan page, and I just started it.
Wait, what was like the first one that you watched? The first Below Deck ever? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was actually the very first. I think I started with Mediterranean. That's why I was such a go hard for Hannah, because I started with Mediterranean. Yeah.
She was your first Chief Stew love.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy that you got into Med first. And that's what actually like blew up your love for Below Deck. Because normally it's like people, you know, the original Below Deck was around for so much longer.
Yeah.
And that's when people really got hooked. So I love that it was not even the original Below Deck. It was Med with Hannah and Sandy and all them.
Yeah.
You become obsessed with Below Deck now. You watch every season, everything, and you're like, okay, I'm going to start this fan page now because I love it so much.
I don't even know. It was kind of off the cuff. I just basically came up with this Below Deck above average. Like you, I'm like a name guy. Like I like making like clever little names like that. Like I had a dog named Machete and a dog named Judge Judy because I love Judge Judy so much. So, and then I just remember like getting like 100 followers, and I called my mom and I'm like, Mom, I have 100 followers. Like, I'm going to be so famous, like blah, blah, blah. And then it was like 500, then 1,000, and then, you know, 1,500. And then now I'm almost at 80,000. And I'm like, holy, like, I can't even fathom how many people I have influence over. You know what I mean?
It's insane. Like how many freaking times have I said to you, what's the most difficult part is gaining the audience.
Yeah.
But you were just posting, you weren't even posting stuff about you. Like no one's ever even seen you when you started the social media account. This was nothing but Below Deck content.
You know, here and there I did post like videos of me thanking, you know, at milestones of followers. I would thank people. I would, you know, post random stories with my selfie saying hi, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, for 99%, it was all like the niche of Below Deck.
You see what I do on Side Piece. I have these amazing guests, right? And I have half of your following, even with all the content that I post, all the amazing guests. So if anybody knows how difficult it is to get a following on social media, it is me. So then you're building, you're gaining more and more followers. Then how did we then need to do a podcast? How did that come about? I don't know if we've talked about it.
I never wanted to be like a hungry tiger. Like I never wanted to be like, hey, I have these people who follow me, like, let's drain them for every penny that they have. I never wanted to be like that. So, I mean, I got offers to like hawk out this like cream that was like sketchy, which I, didn't do, and, had other ideas. But, for me, I think what really built my fan base was authenticity.
Right.
And obviously, like, the tremendous support I have from cast members, like they're always commenting, blah, blah, blah. The blogs, blah, blah, blah. So right when I ended up getting past like the 50K, 60K, I thought in my head, like, hey, like I have this audience, and a lot of people like try really, really hard to get this audience. So for me, it was basically, I thought it was a door that I couldn't not open. I thought it was something that I have to take advantage of having an audience. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Yeah.
Because I stalked you for like 6 months to actually do it.
Yeah, you did. Yes.
You guys, did we tell you the story? Did we tell them the story? Have we talked about this?
Probably, but we can again.
How this guy has this humongous following. And I'm like, I work my balls off to get the following on Side Piece, my podcast. You already have the following, which is the hardest part. Every day, you guys, I would say to James, why are you not doing a podcast? Every day I would bother. How many times? Every day sending you a message. Why aren't you doing a podcast? Why aren't you doing a podcast? Yeah. And then it was always like, oh, I don't know. Should I? When I reach 60,000, and then when I reach 65,000, and then when I reach 70, and I'm like, okay, you need to freaking just do it. And I hounded James. You guys, you don't even know for how many months to start this thing. And now, are you so happy you're doing it?
Oh yeah, I'm so happy, and I'm so thankful that you believed in me and that you were there, because you don't really want anything from me. You're just an awesome person who just is supportive and who want other people to succeed. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you for that. That was so nice.
You are so nice. I really appreciate it.
Seeing your beautiful face is all I want.
Oh. There was something else I was going to say. I forget now. Oh, yeah, I remember. Why I was so apprehensive, like, to start a podcast is because, Below Deck, it's such a niche, right? It's such a niche. And my page is all about Below Deck. Like, there's hardly anything about me. So I have social anxiety. I'm nervous. I have blah, blah, blah. So I'm thinking in my head, they like what I post, but will they like me? You know what I mean?
Totally.
So that's what was my apprehension.
I mean, that totally makes sense. Listen, I mean, it's a lot different to have a social media page where you post stuff about other things, as opposed to your face is in the camera and you're talking to the audience, to someone that you're interviewing. It's I feel, my personal opinion is that people think that doing a podcast is easy, and it is. Let me tell you, and I know you're getting a sense of it, because I was with you from the get-go. I mean, whether it's coming up with a name, logos, like, how do you start? Where do you throw it? Like, how do you get it out there? Like, and that's not even when you're getting to guests, then it's like coming up with questions, the editing. I mean, there's so much to it, and now you're seeing it. But I mean, I feel like you already had your first guest. How did it go?
Okay, so before I answer that question, I want to interject one thing, okay? I want to tell you a funny story, okay? So I think I'm funny, right? So this one time, I took this selfie that I thought was like really good. Like, damn, like you're looking good, blah, blah, blah. So I posted it on Below Deck Above Average. And I was like, hey guys, like there's this guy, James Pike. He's going to be the new captain of the new franchise of Below Deck. He likes this. And I made up like this character, right? And then I posted it. And then, oh my God, people were so mean. They were like, look at those lips.
Of course, like, because that's what they do.
Exactly. And they were like, oh, like, what's with that tan? Like, that looks terrible. Like, blah, blah, blah. So because I put myself out there and I made that situation, I was prepared for that. So it didn't really hurt my feelings, but I just thought I think it was a funny story to tell.
I mean, they will say anything, hiding behind their, computer and just blasting off. But that's what they do. Like that people, there's definitely more, I feel like, negative stuff that is said than positive stuff. I mean, somebody said one time, obviously this is not naturally blonde. Yeah. And I hadn't freaking gotten my hair done in a little bit, God forbid. And so my roots were showing a little bit. And someone was like, why did you paint a black streak going down the center of your head? And I'm like, I mean,
does that make sense, right? Like
they just like, there's no rhyme or reason. That's good though, that you did post it. You were prepared for it and it didn't turn you off. So that's good. And by the way, even on your page, I'm sure you saw people that like on something you post will say something mean or nasty about just a post.
Do you remember season 2 of Sailing Yacht? And then there was that like Barry guy, charter guest, and he was like really hated. Me and him kind of got into it on Instagram. He like went like deep dive into my Facebook and my Instagram and found pictures of when I was like really, really overweight and like progress pictures and stuff. And he like posted it all over the internet. And he was like, look at this fat, pig, like all this, like all because I was like, oh, like he's, like a bad charter guest, blah, blah, blah. He like took that personally and like bashed the hell out of me online. So yeah, it's a very toxic place sometimes.
Yeah,
people will hit below the belt because they don't have to look you in the eye when they do it, right?
Totally.
There's no humanity there, So, but yeah, back to the podcast. Sorry, what was the question?
Like you said, like I have anxiety, like social situation. This is what is going to make all that lessen. You're going to get more confidence. You're going to be doing these interviews and talking to people and having great conversation. You're going to be crushing these interviews. You already had your first one, who, speaking of people that, are not very liked. So who was your first guest?
Oh my God, Melissa. So I had Chef Ryan McCowan. He reached out to me. And if I remember correctly, he's like, yo, like, let's do a live. Like, I want to like go off, blah, blah, blah. I have all this stuff to say. Like, let's do it on your page. And then I was just like, hey, like I'm doing a podcast. Do you want to be the first guest? Like you should come on. Right?
This is the chef from Down Under.
Yeah, Australia. Yeah. So for me, like this being like a stranger, this being someone who's on TV, this guy who like tells off people, in my head, I'm thinking, oh my God, like this guy's going to roast me. Oh my God, this guy's going to, tell me off. This guy's this, blah, blah, blah. So that heightened my social anxiety to like 1,000, right? So right before the interview, I was like, oh, like there's a train station by my house, so I can't film. I can't film in my living room. It's a studio apartment, so we're just gonna do audio. I have to go into my bathroom so we don't pick up the train. And he was like, okay. Because I thought like, like I can nervously like walk around.
That's why you were like, do you want to come on? Do you want to come on and do it with me?
Yeah. Yeah. So the interview went well, but like I was nervous, and when I'm nervous, like I nervous laugh. You know what I mean? I don't know, like people who don't know me don't really understand, right? So after that interview posted and he ripped Aisha to shreds, in that interview, oh my God, it like everyone was like, who's that guy in the podcast interviewing him? Like, why are they giving him this platform? He's toxic. Tagging Bravo, tagging the production company. They were saying like, oh, is the interviewer and Ryan dating? Like, what? Like,
I mean,
what? You know what I mean? And then
you'll hear it all.
Yeah. And like, I won't name names. There's someone, a cast member who I understand that I'm a fan account. I understand that I serve a purpose for them and they serve a purpose for me. I understand like I'm not like friends with most of them. You know what I mean? But there's one cast member that I felt, some actions that happened between us and the length of us talking and blah, blah, blah. I felt like there were, not necessarily we're friends, but I thought that we're more than just
you guys are cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it.
And they are really good friends with Aisha. And first I reached out to Aisha before the podcast was posted, but she's not following me. So it probably went to like some random inbox. I don't fault her for that. Plus, like, nobody needs to message me back. But then I messaged like her good friend and I was just like, hey, like, like, I hope you don't dislike me now because of this. Like, there's some backlash, blah, blah, blah. And then they left me unread. And then I waited a couple days and then I messaged them again. And then they read the message again and then left me unread again. And then it's not a big deal. Like, there's a lot of things going on in their life right now, which is like understandable. But it's like, I don't know, it kind of got me in my feelings a little bit. So.
Well, I mean, listen, it's tough. I'm telling you though, you're not going to please everyone doing this because I've said this 100 times to people because I get other guests that have been on. They're mad that I have someone else on that they're not friends with. It's Bravo. Everybody hates each other. If I didn't interview somebody that didn't have beef with somebody else, I would have 0 guests. I've literally gotten people just going off on me. How could you have this person on? I'm not friends with them. How could you have them on? They said this about me. Did you see they said this about me? You're not Nutella. You're not going to please everybody. So like, it was tough at first. And now I'm like, listen, you can't shoot the messenger. Mm-hmm. Those are not the words I'm saying. Yeah. I'm not talking shit about somebody. I'm asking questions, but I'm not the one saying those things. So if you want to be mad at the messenger, that's your problem. That's not mine.
I think what the problem with that was, in my case specifically, was I've now cut this from the podcast because of the backlash, but he had brought up that he talks to everyone from the show and that everyone doesn't like her voice. And then he went, or something like that. And then I nervous laughed, right? So it looked like I was like agreeing with him or something, right? And then I regret this, right? But I brought up the fact when she was on a season, when she, was pooing and she pulled the poo out of her butt with her fingers or something. I brought that up. Why would you say that on television if you didn't want people to laugh about it? I thought it was funny. I thought
amazing.
It was weird.
It's what makes her her. That's why I love her.
So I think people were like taking me saying that as me having something against her when I absolutely don't. I actually she's one of my favorite people on the show. Like, she's awesome. So if I were to do it again, I would draw a line in the sand from what he's saying to what it looks like I'm agreeing with.
Well, at the same time too, that's why we have editing, right?
Yeah.
Like, let him say what he wants to say. And if there's anything that you're not a fan of, that's the gift of editing. You just take it out. And by the way, like, you have to figure out, what am I doing? What am I trying to do here? Because I have been in the mode of, do I not give a shit? And I post it all, no matter who might be offended. Yeah. Or do I literally, which I've still done a year later, which is not easy with these Bravo people. Maybe I'll keep it in, but I won't like focus. Like, I won't make a quote about it or an audio. Like, I won't bring light to it. It'll be in there if you actually listen. But unless you don't listen, you won't know. You have to go into it knowing you're not going to please everybody. Yeah. Especially when you have these Bravo people that all hate each other. You just got to do you. And people will see. I'm just being an interviewer. If you want to be mad at me for it, then be mad at me. Like, what do you want?
Exactly. And I also wanted to add that I was thinking in my head, so all of these people like don't like Ryan, he's self-proclaimed the most hated chef. He's this and that. People, rightfully so, have a lot of things to say about him. Right. And I thought in my head, why was I not more turned off by him? Like, I think he's dope, right? And then I remembered, okay, he kind of reminds me of one of like my toxic exes, you know what I mean? Like that energy that you, like the unexpected, like may lash out, like toxic, blah, blah, blah. That's what it reminded me of. So I thought that was hilarious.
But like, there's going to be a lot of people too that aren't like the best people. And it's like you still want, if they're a part of a show that you are doing a podcast about, like I had Danielle Staub on.
Did you end up posting the interview yet or no?
Not yet. You're not doing a reality TV show where some other producer and some other editor is in control. Like it's yours. You do whatever the hell you want with it.
That's so true. And if I become half as good as an interviewer as you on your Side Piece podcast, like I will have accomplished something. I just love your podcast. And it's like something that I like strive to kind of emulate in a way. Do you know what I mean?
Oh my God. I love you. That I really appreciate because it's still crazy to me that anybody listens.
And how's your strip with Melissa going?
It's just like trying to juggle it all, right? Like it's a lot. I have a 4-year-old, I have a 3-year-old. So, 2 kids under 4. I have strip with Melissa and trying to keep it, and everyone all day long. Like it's just like all these clients and they want to talk all day long. And then it's the podcast. And it's like sometimes with these guests, it's like, you never know you're going to get any. And then all of a sudden you get like 3 and they want to come on like now. And then, the time it takes to figure out questions and get ready for it and the prep and blah, 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 blah.
Catch up on episodes and
totally.
Blah, blah, blah.
Exactly. You want to know what you're talking about. Like when they say something, I want to be like, oh, I remember that scene, that moment, whatever. So listen, everything, thank God. I'm so thankful for everything. I'm so thankful that I, became a certified nutritionist. It's just trying to juggle it all.
I like that the connection that we have. I think it really is based in the fact that our selflessness and the fact that if I'm having a come up, I'm bringing people around me up as well. You know what I mean? I think that's your mentality as well. Like, it's not like, get out of my way, I'm going to step on you so I can get higher. It's like, here's a life vest, come up with me, right?
I'm going to help you. I mean, listen, that's how we wouldn't be doing this if that's not how we both were, right? Yeah. I mean, that's why I was so on you about doing this because I knew you could rock it. You've already done so much with your social media. I knew I could help you in every way because I had already been doing a podcast. So like, there's nothing that I want all the success for you and you're gonna get it. And I think you're amazing. And again, neither one of us would be having this conversation right now if we didn't have the mutual love and care and selflessness for each other and just as nice, genuine, real people. So yes, I love you.
It's hard to find people like you. So
it's very hard. It's super hard, especially when everyone's so competitive and everyone's trying to get this person and this person and build this and build this. Nobody is in like, I'll help you just because I want to help you business. It's like, I'll help you, but what am I going to get in return? Right?
Exactly.
That's not how I roll. That's not how you roll. And that's why we are us and doing this together, baby.
Flash forward, let's say 10 years, and me and you are on the Real Housewives of California or something, and they allow men on there now. And
how about flash forward like 6 months? Let's just make this shit happen now. I'm ready. Exactly, I'm ready yesterday.
Yeah. Okay, well, I have to go.
You.
Love you.
I love you. I love you. I love you.
This is a good interview. Thank you.
Thank you. Love you.
Love you.
Bye. 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 Bye.